The grand hall of the Galactic Council was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. A massive dome of glass and gold floated in orbit above the twin suns of Velaris Prime, where thousands of alien delegates gathered to judge one small world, Earth. The hall buzzed with whispers, claws tapping against metal floors, tentacles twitching in irritation. Every seat was filled with beings from 100 species, each one eager to see the strange human who dared to stand before them. At the center stood the council speaker, a towering scaled creature named Zorvak. His eyes gleamed like burning coals as he slammed his silver staff on the floor. "Bring in the human representative," he commanded, his deep voice echoing through the chamber. The giant doors opened with a hiss, and silence fell. A single woman walked in. Her boots made no sound, her steps slow and measured. She wore a black uniform, with no visible symbols or badges. Her face was calm, eyes sharp and cold as ice. She didn't look afraid, just watchful. Zorvak leaned forward, his teeth glinting under the hall's blue lights. "So, this is the envoy of Earth," he said mockingly. "You come here alone. No guards, no entourage. How typical of your kind." A few aliens laughed, their voices like metal scraping stone. Evelyn Ward didn't respond. She stopped at the center of the room, raised her chin, and met his gaze. The crowd went quiet again, something about her silence unsettling them. Zorvak smirked. "Let us begin," he said. "State your name and rank for the record." Evelyn's voice was calm but firm. "Commander Evelyn Ward," she said. "Rank classified." The laughter that followed was loud and cruel. "Classified." One alien general hissed, "You stand before the highest authority in the galaxy. You will answer properly." Evelyn's expression didn't change. She simply looked at the council speaker. "You asked my rank," she said softly, "and I gave it." Zorvak slammed his clawed hand on the desk. "You humans have no respect," he barked. "You come here with arrogance, as if your dying species matters." Evelyn's eyes flicked to the screen above the council. "Dying," she said quietly. "Is that what you think?" Zorvak grinned. "Earth was destroyed decades ago. Your people scattered like dust. You exist because we allow it. Because you are amusing." The hall filled with laughter again. But Evelyn didn't move. She reached for her wrist console and pressed a button. A holographic display appeared above the room, flickering with blue light. At first the aliens thought it was static. Then the image sharpened, a fleet of colossal ships floating in the dark, black as shadows and twice as large as any council warship. They hung silent and still, forming a wall of light around an unknown planet. The laughter stopped instantly. "What? What is that?" whispered one of the alien captains. His voice shaking, Evelyn's tone remained calm. "That," she said, "is Earth's home defense fleet." Murmurs rippled across the chamber. Zorvak's face hardened. "Impossible," he hissed. "Humanity never built ships of that scale. Those are forgeries." Evelyn turned her gaze toward him. "Would you like me to prove it?" The speaker opened his mouth to speak, but a faint tremor passed through the hall. Every monitor flickered to black. Every comm signal went dead. Even the council's security drones froze in midair. Systems that had never failed in centuries suddenly went silent. "What is happening?" cried one of the delegates. "Who authorized this interference?" Evelyn looked up at the glass dome above. "Your network is being jammed," she said. "Your systems can't detect what's right above you." Zorvak rose to his feet, scales shimmering with fury. "You dare to disrupt this council's systems? You will be punished for this insolence." Evelyn looked him straight in the eyes. "We came here to talk," she said, "not to fight. But if you threaten Earth again, the conversation ends differently." The hall erupted in shouts and panic. Some aliens demanded her arrest, others whispered in fear. Evelyn's calm presence only made it worse. She stood there like a storm, waiting to break. One of the council generals, his face pale, leaned toward Zorvak. "Sir," he whispered, "sensors confirm something massive in orbit. They match her ships exactly." The room fell into stunned silence. Zorvak's claws trembled slightly as he spoke. "What are you, human?" Evelyn's lips curved into the faintest smile. "You asked my rank," she said. "I command the 3rd Human Expeditionary Fleet. Designated Shadow Vanguard, we do not answer to your counsel, and we do not kneel. Gasps filled the air. One delegate, a crystalline being whose voice chimed like glass, whispered, "But Earth was lost. How can you still exist?" Evelyn looked at her. "You never checked," she said. "You closed the borders, declared us gone, and turned away. But we never stopped building. We learned, adapted, and moved beyond your reach." Zorvak glared at her, trying to regain control. "You expect us to believe that humanity rebuilt itself in secret? That you command such power without our knowledge?" Evelyn looked down at her wrist console again. "You don't have to believe me," she said softly. "You can look outside." The council's ceiling panels shifted, revealing the vast space beyond. What they saw made every alien freeze. Enormous dark shapes hovered silently above the planet, hundreds of them. Each ship glowed faintly with the mark of Earth, a single blue circle. They weren't aiming weapons, but their presence alone was overwhelming. Zorvak took a step back, his voice trembling. "You would not dare," Evelyn met his gaze. "We didn't come here for war," she said quietly. "Oh, but peace does not mean surrender." She turned slightly toward the chamber doors. "Remember that before you summon another human here," as she walked away, her boots echoing softly against the cold floor. No one spoke. The council members stared in stunned silence. The laughter and arrogance drained from their faces. Above them, the human ship slowly vanished from view. Disappearing into the blackness of space, Zorvak sat down, his claws shaking. "By the stars," he whispered, "what have we done?" Somewhere beyond the hall, the last transmission flickered back to life. The council systems rebooted, but the human signal remained untraceable. All that lingered was a message left in their communication log, written in calm white letters. "Do not ask a human their rank if you're not ready to see the stars they command." For a long time after, no one dared to speak of that day, but across the galaxy whispers spread. Stories of the silent woman who came alone and left the council speechless. Some called her a messenger, others a warning. But to those who truly understood, she was something far greater, proof that humanity had never fallen. It had only been waiting, watching, and preparing, and now the galaxy finally knew the truth. Earth was not gone. It had just evolved beyond fear, beyond weakness, and beyond anyone's reach. The council chamber remained heavy with silence after Evelyn left. The echoes of her boots faded down the long marble corridor, but her presence lingered like a storm that refused to pass. Dozens of alien delegates sat frozen in disbelief, no one daring to speak first. Zorvak gripped the edge of his desk so tightly his claws dug into the metal. His voice came out low and trembling. "Confirm her claims," he ordered. "Now." Technicians rushed to their consoles, trying to restore the disrupted systems. The main holographic display flickered back to life, showing streams of static. "Sir," one of the analysts stammered, "there's something above us." "What kind of something?" Zorvak snapped. The analyst swallowed hard. "Ships, sir. Hundreds of them." The screen stabilized and the entire chamber gasped. The image showed a fleet so vast that it blotted out the stars. Massive black ships, silent and still, hung above the council world like shadows of judgment. Their design was unlike anything in the known galaxy, smooth, seamless, alive. "How are they doing this without broadcasting a signal?" whispered an admiral. "Even cloaked ships leave trace readings." Another alien, a jelly-like being with glowing veins, trembled. "They are invisible to scanners, but visible to the eye." "That's impossible." Zorvak stared at the ships and whispered to himself. "No species could build this without our knowledge. Unless—" He stopped, unable to finish the thought. Evelyn's voice suddenly echoed across every screen, calm and clear. "Council members, stand down your defenses." The room spun into panic. "How is she speaking through our secured channels?" shouted one of the guards. "All comm networks are sealed." Evelyn's holographic image appeared before them again, standing with her arms folded behind her back. "You left our system alone for too long," she said. "You thought isolation would destroy us, but it freed us." Zorvak tried to mask his fear with anger. "You will explain how you infiltrated this council's systems." Evelyn tilted her head slightly. "We didn't infiltrate anything," she said softly. "Your systems are simply outdated." The aliens erupted in disbelief, shouting at once, "Lies! Bluff!"
"She's provoking us!"
Zorvak slammed his staff. "Enough!" he roared. "You claim power beyond our reach. But the Council is not afraid of you, human." Evelyn's eyes met his through the projection. "Calm and unreadable. You should be afraid," she said. "Not because of what we can do, but because of what you already did." A heavy pause followed. "What do you mean?" Zorvak demanded. Evelyn stepped closer to the holographic view, her voice colder now. "You destroyed our colonies," she said. "You erased entire settlements from the outer rings, claiming it was for galactic safety. Do you deny it?" The chamber went quiet. A few delegates looked away. Zorvak's jaw tightened. "Those colonies were illegal expansions," he said. "They violated the Council Charter." Evelyn nodded slowly. "And so you burned them, women, children, civilians." Her voice did not rise, but every word struck like a blade. "We recorded everything." Zorvak leaned forward, eyes burning. "You are bluffing," he said. Evelyn pressed her wrist console, and a hologram appeared behind her, a field of wreckage floating through space. Ships torn apart, cities burning, children's cries echoing through static. "This," Evelyn said, "was your idea of justice." Some aliens turned away in shame. Others whispered nervously. Zorvak tried to speak, but his voice cracked. "You dare accuse the Council?" "I don't accuse," Evelyn interrupted. "I show." The image shifted again, now showing footage from within a human ship. Alien drones firing on unarmed civilians, Council insignias clearly visible on their hulls. A young girl's voice was heard faintly. "Mom, the stars are falling." And then static. The sound hit the room like thunder. Even the guards stopped breathing. Evelyn's voice came again, quieter now. "You asked why we came back," she said. "We came to remind you that we remember for a long moment." No one spoke. Then one of the elder delegates, a frail avian with silver feathers, stood up slowly. "Commander Ward," she said gently, "if what you say is true, then revenge will destroy everything you've built. Is that what humanity wants?" Evelyn looked at her. "No," she said, "we want truth, we want accountability, and we want peace that doesn't come with chains." Zorvak snarled, "You talk of peace while holding our planet hostage." Evelyn's gaze did not waver. "If we wanted you dead, we wouldn't be talking." Outside, alarms blared through the city. Fighter squadrons launched into the skies, trying to approach the human fleet. Within seconds, their systems went dark. Every ship froze in midair, unable to move or communicate. "Our defenses are offline," shouted an officer. "All power is rerouting." Evelyn turned slightly. "You should call them back," she said. "I don't want unnecessary destruction," Zorvak growled. "You're bluffing." Evelyn tapped her wrist. "Fleet Command," she said. "Demonstrate containment." Above the planet, one human ship moved. It extended its massive wings, glowing blue, and fired a beam of light, not at the city, but into the empty space beside it. A moment later, a ring of light formed in the atmosphere, glowing brighter and brighter until it surrounded the entire planet like a shimmering barrier. The aliens gasped. "What is that?" "A weapon? A shield?" Evelyn looked up at the projection. "Containment field," she said. "No ships in or out until I give the order." The council chamber erupted again. Zorvak slammed his claws on the table. "You have trapped us like animals." Evelyn's eyes hardened. "Not trapped," she said. "Protected from yourselves." Zorvak pointed at her projection, shouting, "You cannot control the entire council world." Evelyn's expression didn't change. "Already done," she said quietly. Zorvak staggered back, disbelief twisting his face. "You humans, you were supposed to be extinct." Evelyn gave a faint smile. "We were supposed to be forgotten," she said. "But history has a habit of remembering those who refuse to die." The old avian delegate stepped forward again, her voice shaking. "Commander Ward, what do you want us to do?" Evelyn looked around the chamber, her tone calm but final. "You will end the blockade on our colonies. You will return the artifacts you stole from our world, and you will issue a public apology for your crimes." the aliens murmured in protest. Zorvak slammed his fist. "We will never bow to humans." Evelyn stared at him for a long moment. "Then you will bow to consequences," she said softly. Outside, thunder rolled, not from the sky, but from space, as every human ship aligned in perfect formation, their engines glowing like stars. The sound resonated through the planet's crust. Shaking the halls of the council, "Commander," came a voice over her comms. "Awaiting your signal." Evelyn looked at Zorvak. "Your move," she said. Zorvak's breathing grew heavy. His pride battled his fear. Finally, he sank into his seat, eyes downcast. "Deactivate your containment field," he whispered. "We will discuss your terms." Evelyn nodded slightly. "Wise choice," she said. "Consider this the beginning of something new." Her hologram began to fade, but her final words echoed through the hall. "You exiled us once and we returned next time. We won't ask for peace." As the projection vanished, the chamber remained in stunned silence. The council had ruled the galaxy for millennia, but now, for the first time, they realized their throne was no longer untouchable. Above them, the human fleet stood watch, silent and immovable like gods in the dark. And somewhere deep in every alien heart, a single thought took root. Humanity was no longer the past. It was the future, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The following morning, the Galactic Council world was quiet, too quiet. The streets that were once filled with chatter and movement now stood still under the shadow of the human fleet. The suns above shone weakly through the haze as alien citizens peered at the sky, whispering in fear inside the council hall. Zorvak paced like a trapped animal. His claws scraped against the floor, leaving marks of frustration. "They humiliated us," he growled. "They trapped our world and made us beg for peace." His advisor, a thin reptilian with pale scales, shifted nervously. "Sir, they didn't destroy us. They could have, but they didn't." Zorvak turned sharply, his eyes glowing red. "You call that mercy? That was domination." The chamber doors opened, and the avian elder, Councillor Mera, entered. Her feathers shimmered silver under the dim lights. "You should be grateful to be alive, Zorvak," she said calmly. "The humans offered peace when they could have turned this planet to dust," Zorvak sneered. "Peace? They gave demands, not peace. They humiliated us before the galaxy." Mera stepped closer. "Perhaps we earned it," she said softly. "We exiled them, burned their colonies, and called them savages." Zorvak slammed his fist on the table. "They were savages." Mera's eyes hardened. "And yet they built an empire while we sat here arguing." A sudden chime echoed through the chamber. One of the communication officers spoke. "Incoming transmission. Encrypted human code." Zorvak's claws clenched. "Put it through." The lights dimmed, and Evelyn Ward's hologram appeared again, calm and composed. Her eyes scanned the room as if she could see their fear. "Council members," she said, "the containment field will remain until your fleet stand down and all weapons are deactivated." Zorvak stepped forward. "You have no right to hold us prisoner." Evelyn tilted her head. "You declared yourselves rulers of the galaxy," she said. "Yet your ships fired on civilians. I'm giving you a chance to prove you still have honor." Mera bowed her head slightly. "Commander Ward," she said respectfully, "many of us wish to cooperate. But you must understand that fear drives resistance. Give us time." Evelyn looked at her for a long moment. "Time," she repeated. "Time is what humanity was denied for centuries," Zorvak growled. "Enough of your lectures, human. You think your fleet makes you gods? You are just another species drunk on power." Evelyn's voice grew colder. "If that were true, I wouldn't be talking." The hologram flickered, and suddenly, new data filled the chamber's screens. Images of other planets, other fleets. Human ships were not only above the council world, they were stationed near half the galaxy's major systems. "Impossible," whispered an admiral. "They've surrounded us. How long have they been watching?" Evelyn answered without emotion. "Long enough to know who plotted against us, who lied to us, and who still tries to control us." Zorvak turned pale. "You're threatening the entire galaxy." Evelyn shook her head slightly. No, I'm reminding it that balance has returned. As her image faded, the council broke into chaos. We must prepare our fleets, shouted one delegate. We should surrender now before they destroy us, yelled another. Mira raised her voice. Silence, she shouted. War will destroy everything, don't you see? They want peace, but they want it their way. We must adapt or perish. Zorvak glared at her. You sound like one of them, he hissed. Perhaps they've already turned you? Mira's feathers bristled. Perhaps you should start listening instead of shouting. Outside the chamber, a crowd had gathered, thousands of alien citizens staring up at the sky. The human ships loomed above like silent giants. Their design was strange. No lights, no visible engines. Just smooth black hulls pulsing faintly like living shadows. Some aliens whispered prayers, others cursed in fear. A group of young officers tried to rally the city guard, but their weapons refused to power on. The human technology had disabled everything electronic. We are defenseless, one soldier said quietly. If they attack, we are finished. Back inside, Zorvak leaned against the glass wall. Watching the ships above, his anger was fading, replaced by something worse. Doubt. What if they're right? He muttered. Mira turned to him, surprised. What did you say? Zorvak exhaled slowly. What if we push them too far? What if this is the price of our arrogance? Mira nodded. Then we have one chance to fix it. The council world had not known fear like this in centuries. Days passed since the humans arrived, yet the skies above still shimmered with the faint glow of their silent fleet. The alien citizens tried to return to their daily lives, but unease lingered in the air. Every shadow felt like an eye watching. Every hum of machinery sounded like a whisper from the ships above. Inside the council chamber, Zorvak sat at the head of the long table, his claws tapping against the cold metal. They say they want peace, he muttered. But what kind of peace begins with a threat? Councillor Mira, calm as always, looked up from her datapad. The kind built on fear, she said softly. Fear is a language every species understands. Zorvak's eyes narrowed. I will not let them control us through fear. We are the council. We built this galaxy, Mira sighed, and they rebuilt themselves after we left them for dead. She leaned forward, her voice quieter now. Zorvak, this is not the time for pride. It's the time for survival. Before he could reply, the doors opened, and a young aide rushed in, breathing heavily. Sir, you need to see this. Zorvak frowned. What is it now? The aide handed him a holopad. The screen flickered to life, showing a council mining outpost on the planet Varnis 4. The camera shook violently, alarms blaring. This is Outpost Theta, shouted a voice from the feed. We have unidentified vessels approaching. No, they're human. Wait, they're firing warning shots. The chamber erupted in chaos. They attacked our outpost, shouted one general. They promised peace. Mira snatched the pad and studied the footage. No, look closely, she said. The image showed the human ships disabling drones and scanners, but not harming anyone. They weren't attacking. They were stopping something. Mira turned to Zorvak. They're not after the council. They're after whatever we're hiding there. Zorvak hesitated. That outpost mines dark energy, he said. A forbidden material banned by the council charter. Mira's feathers bristled. So it's true, she whispered. You've been mining weapons fuel. Zorvak slammed his claw on the table. You think the humans didn't do the same? Mira's voice was sharp. The difference is, they never lied about it. Moments later, the chamber's screens flashed again. Evelyn Ward appeared, standing aboard her command ship. Her expression was unreadable. Council members, she began. Your outpost on Varnis 4 was in violation of the Galactic Peace Accords. We have secured it. Zorvak glared at her hologram. You had no authority. Evelyn's tone didn't change. Authority comes from action, she said calmly. And inaction has consequences. Mira stepped forward. Commander Ward, there are ways to handle this diplomatically. Evelyn looked at her. "We tried diplomacy for 300 years, she said, and you silenced us. You voted to erase us. Do you really expect patience now?" The silence in the room was heavy. Zorvak's anger boiled. "You think we'll let you rule this galaxy?" he shouted. Evelyn's lips curved slightly. "Rule?" she said. "No, we just stopped asking permission." Her words struck deeper than any weapon. "You should see for yourself," she continued. The screen behind her came alive, showing the mining tunnels of Varnis IV, filled with imprisoned workers, aliens from smaller species forced into labor. "These aren't soldiers," Evelyn said coldly. "They're slaves." Gasps filled the chamber. One council member, a jelly-like creature with glowing skin, muttered, "I thought those mines were abandoned." Evelyn's eyes darkened. "You thought wrong." Mira looked horrified. "Zorvak, did you know about this?" Zorvak clenched his jaw. "We needed the energy to keep our fleets operational," he admitted. "If we didn't mine it, someone else would." Evelyn's voice sharpened. "You sound like the ones who justified burning our worlds." The image behind her changed again, showing a group of human soldiers freeing the enslaved aliens, wrapping them in blankets, giving them food. "These people remember what mercy feels like," Evelyn said. "Even if you don't." Zorvak stood, his fury breaking through. "Enough!" he roared. "You want to make us look weak before the galaxy? You'll regret this." Evelyn's gaze stayed steady. "We don't need to make you look weak," she said. "You already did that yourselves." Her image flickered, then vanished, leaving a thick silence behind. The council erupted into arguments. "We must retaliate," shouted a general. "If we don't act, every world will side with them." Mera raised her voice above the chaos. "You fools! Fighting them will destroy us all." But no one listened. Zorvak turned to his guard. "Prepare the vanguard fleet. We'll show them who holds real power." Mera grabbed his arm. "You'll doom us," she said. "They have fleets that can erase planets." Zorvak pulled away. "Then let them try," he growled. "We are not slaves to humans." Within hours, the vanguard fleet launched from the surface, hundreds of warships rising into the pale sky. The citizens below watched in fear as the thunder of engines filled the air. Mira stood on the balcony, her heart heavy. She whispered to herself, "You're making the same mistake they did long ago." As the fleet climbed higher, they met the human blockade. The sky turned dark with the shadows of massive warships. The human fleet did not fire. They simply held their position, silent and still. "This is Commander Ward," came Evelyn's voice across every comm channel. "Turn back now." Zorvak's laughter echoed through his bridge. "You think I'll run?" he said. "Fire at will." The alien ships opened fire, beams of red energy cutting through the void, but none reached their targets. The beams bent, split, and vanished into light. "What? What is this?" shouted one pilot. "Our weapons are useless." Evelyn's voice came again, calm and cold. "You're out of your depth." Then, with a single command, the human fleet activated their counterstrike. Blue light flashed across the stars, disabling every enemy ship at once. Engines died, weapons failed, and power vanished. The entire fleet hung motionless, helpless. "Impossible," Zorvak whispered. Evelyn appeared on his main screen. "You started this," she said quietly. "But I'll end it without blood." Zorvak slumped in his chair, his pride collapsing under the weight of defeat. "What are you?" he asked softly. Evelyn's eyes met his. "What you made us," she said, "a species that learned to survive without mercy." The transmission ended, and one by one the human ships began to fade into hyperspace, leaving only silence behind. Down below, the citizens of the council world looked up at the stars in awe and fear. Mira stood alone in the council hall, her voice barely a whisper. "They could have destroyed us, but they didn't." She looked at Zorvak, who sat in silence, eyes filled with regret. "Maybe that's their greatest weapon," she said. "They don't need to conquer, they just need us to remember." Outside, the last human ship vanished beyond the horizon, leaving behind only one message glowing faintly in the sky. Peace through remembrance, not fear, and for the first time in galactic history, the Council understood what that truly meant. The most dangerous kind of power was not in destruction, but in restraint, and humanity had mastered both. The Council world remained tense even after the human fleet disappeared from orbit. Days passed, but the shadow of their presence hung heavy in every corridor. No one laughed in the streets anymore. No voices echoed through the plazas. Fear had become the new law. Inside the grand hall, Councillor Mira stood by the massive glass window, staring at the stars where the human ships had once hovered. "They could have destroyed us," she whispered, "yet they chose to leave." Behind her, Zorvak entered quietly, his eyes dark and tired. "They left because they think they've already won," he said bitterly. Mira turned. "No, they left because they don't need to fight. We've already lost the galaxy's faith." Zorvak walked closer, his claws clicking against the marble floor. "I've received reports," he said. "Some of our colonies have begun defecting. They're pledging loyalty to the humans." Mira frowned. "Loyalty or protection?" Zorvak grunted. "Does it matter? The result is the same. Our rule is collapsing." He looked down at the holomap flickering on the table. Red dots blinking across the star systems. Everywhere their ships appear, people surrender without resistance. It's as if the galaxy is waiting for humanity to lead. Mira sighed. "Perhaps they've earned that right." Before Zorvak could reply, the chamber lights flickered. The Council's main screen came to life. Evelyn Ward's face appeared once again, calm as always. "Council members," she began, "you've seen the consequences of arrogance. Now you will see the price of silence." Her words sent a chill through the room. "What do you want from us now?" Zorvak demanded. Evelyn's image remained steady. "The truth," she said. "For years the Council buried records of the attacks on our colonies. You erased the votes, silenced witnesses and burned evidence. That ends today." Mira's feathers trembled slightly. "You have the data?" she asked. Evelyn nodded. "We found your archives hidden beneath the polar vaults of Helios Prime." Zorvak's eyes widened. "That's impossible. No one could access that system." Evelyn's voice grew colder. "No one but us." She tapped her wrist, and suddenly the screens around the chamber lit up with images, classified reports, secret council meetings, signed orders marked with Zorvak's own seal. "These are your crimes," she said, "and the galaxy will see them." Zorvak's anger broke through his fear. "You think exposing us will save you?" he shouted. "You'll turn every species against each other." Evelyn's expression didn't change. "You already did that," she said quietly. "We're just bringing light to the darkness you built." Mira looked at the floor, guilt spreading through her voice. "How many died because of these lies?" Evelyn's answer was quiet but sharp. "Enough to fill your sky with ghosts." Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the chamber. One of the guards rushed in. "Madam Councillor!" "Commander!" "Something's happening." The walls shook, lights dimming. "What now?" Zorvak shouted. The guard's voice was panicked. "It's not them, it's us. Our defense network is shutting down automatically." The screens flickered again, showing massive data streams flooding their systems. Evelyn's hologram looked up slightly. "We're deactivating your weapons," she said. "No one fires another shot, not against us, not against anyone." Zorvak clenched his fists. "You can't control our systems forever." Evelyn's gaze was cold. "We don't need forever, just long enough for the galaxy to see what you are." Outside, across the city skyline, enormous holographic projections appeared, playing the same videos, the same documents, showing every secret vote, every hidden execution, every destroyed colony. Citizens looked up in horror as the truth unraveled before their eyes. "They lied to us," whispered a merchant. "They burned whole worlds and called it peace." Anger replaced fear. Riots began to form, crowds shouting in every district. Mira turned to Zorvak. "It's over," she said. You can't hide from this anymore, Zorvak's voice broke. They'll tear us apart, Evelyn's voice echoed again. The council will dissolve, effective immediately. A galactic reconstruction committee will be formed. Every species will have a voice, including those you enslaved. Zorvak slammed his claws against the console. You're destroying order, he roared. Evelyn replied calmly, No, I'm rebuilding it. As her hologram began to fade, Mira stepped forward. Commander Ward, she said, before you go, answer me one thing. Evelyn paused. Why spare us? After everything? For the first time, Evelyn's tone softened. Because vengeance is a short victory, she said. But justice lasts. Her image vanished. Leaving silence behind, the chamber shook again, not from war, but from chaos outside. Crowds had stormed the council gates. Demanding truth, soldiers laid down their weapons. Refusing to fight, Mera looked at Zorvak. This is what we made, she whispered. A galaxy that no longer trusts its rulers. Zorvak sank into his chair, staring blankly ahead, and humanity is their new light. Hours later, the riots died down. The massive human ship, Vigilant Star, reappeared in orbit. This time it carried supplies, food, medicine, and aid for the smaller worlds that the Council had neglected. The same fleet that once brought fear now brought relief. Reporters from across the galaxy broadcasted the moment humans delivered aid to species once treated as inferior. They came as conquerors, one alien journalist said, but they act as saviors. In the quiet of night, Mira walked alone through the empty hall. The grand banners of the council lay torn on the floor. She paused before the great window where Zorvak stood earlier. Perhaps this is how peace begins, she whispered. Outside, one of the human ships broke formation, descending slowly through the clouds. It released a massive beacon into the city square. Glowing with soft blue light, words appeared on its surface. Written in every known galactic language, truth first, peace follows. The next morning, the riot stopped. Citizens gathered around the beacon, reading the words over and over. It was not a threat. Not a warning, just a reminder humanity had shown power beyond comprehension. But it was their restraint, their mercy, that shook the stars the most. Mira turned to her remaining council members. We can rebuild, she said quietly, but not as rulers, this time as equals and high above the planet. Aboard her command ship, Evelyn Ward watched the scene unfold. They'll fight among themselves, said Admiral Kane beside her. Evelyn nodded slightly. Yes, she said, but this time they'll know someone's watching. She turned toward the dark expanse of space, her voice low but firm. The age of silence is over, she said. Now they'll learn to earn the peace they once took for granted. And as the stars shimmered beyond the viewport, the truth settled across the galaxy. Humanity had not conquered the Council by force, but by exposing the one thing they feared most. Their own reflection. The galaxy had changed. The once mighty Galactic Council now stood shattered, its grand banners torn and forgotten. Planets once ruled by arrogance and greed now struggled to rebuild in the wake of truth. Humanity had become a force that no one could ignore, a silent power that brought both fear and hope. On the Council world, Mira sat in the quiet chamber, the same hall that once echoed with lies and pride. The walls were dim, stripped of gold. Only a few delegates remained, all humbled by what they had witnessed. It feels strange, Mira whispered, her voice breaking the silence. For the first time in centuries, there is no command, no control, only questions. Zorvak stood by the window, his scales dull and tired. Questions don't build worlds, he said bitterly. Power does, Mira turned to him. And where did power lead us? She asked. To ruin, to fear, to hiding behind lies. Zorvak clenched his fists. You speak like one of them now, he growled. Mira looked out the window, where the faint glow of a human ship could still be seen in orbit. Maybe it's time someone did, before he could answer. The door opened, and a small alien child stepped in, clutching a datapad. Madam Counselor, the child said timidly, the humans. They sent another message. Mera took the pad gently. The screen lit up with a single line. Prepare for contact. An envoy is coming. Zorvak frowned. An envoy? After everything they've done, they dare to step foot here. Mira's eyes softened. Maybe they believe we're ready to listen. A few hours later, the skies above the council world darkened again, not with fleets, but with one single ship descending through the clouds. It was smaller than before, sleek and silent. Thousands gathered in the city below, watching in awe and fear. The ship landed in the central plaza, releasing a soft pulse of blue light as its ramp lowered. A lone figure emerged, Evelyn Ward. She wore the same black uniform, though now it bore a silver insignia. Her steps were calm, her presence commanding, but her eyes held no anger, only purpose. Mira and Zorvak waited at the steps of the hall. Guards stood nearby, tense but silent. Evelyn stopped before them, her expression unreadable. "Councillors," she greeted, "we meet again." Zorvak's voice was hard. "You humiliated us, destroyed our fleets, and exposed our secrets. What could you possibly want now?" Evelyn met his gaze. "To see if you've learned," she said. Mira stepped forward. "We are not your enemies." "Commander," Evelyn nodded slowly. "Then prove it." The crowd watched in silence as the three entered the chamber. The lights dimmed, leaving only the soft glow of the planet's twin suns streaming through the ceiling. Evelyn placed a small device on the table. A hologram appeared showing the entire galaxy. "This is what remains," she said. "Dozens of worlds in chaos, millions without leadership. Entire sectors once ruled by this council now beg for order." Mira studied the image. "You want us to rebuild," she said quietly. Evelyn shook her head. "No," she said. "I want you to rebuild with us." Zorvak's claws tightened. "You expect us to bow to humans?" Evelyn looked at him coldly. "You expect us to forget?" She countered. The tension in the air was thick. Mira's voice broke it. "What kind of rebuilding are you proposing?" Evelyn turned the hologram, showing clusters of human and alien colonies linked together by new trade routes. "A network," she said, "of cooperation, not dominance. Humanity will provide technology and defense. You will provide governance and unity," Zorvak snorted. "Unity? You burned that bridge." Evelyn looked straight at him. "No, you did. When you voted to erase an entire species." Mira nodded slowly. "You're offering peace through partnership." Evelyn met her gaze. "Peace through accountability," she said. "No species rules alone anymore." The words hung in the air like thunder. Zorvak paced, anger bubbling under his skin. "You say this as if we have a choice." Evelyn's eyes hardened. "You do," she said. "But it's not between obedience and defiance. It's between progress and extinction." Mira looked at her closely. "You don't sound like a conqueror." Evelyn's voice softened slightly. "Because I'm not," she said. "I've seen what happens when power blinds a species. We nearly became what we hated most." For a moment, silence filled the room. Zorvak's expression changed, confusion replacing fury. "Then why help us?" he asked quietly. Evelyn glanced toward the window, watching the sunlight dance across the plaza below. "Because mercy is harder than vengeance," she said, "and humanity chooses the harder path." Suddenly the chamber doors burst open. A young officer rushed in, panic in his voice. "Councillors!" There's movement near the outer rim, an unidentified fleet approaching fast. Evelyn turned sharply. "Human or alien?" The officer stammered. "Unknown, but their weapons are online." Mira looked at her. "Could it be rebels?" Evelyn's tone grew tense. "Not rebels, not ours." She activated her wrist console, showing data streams from orbit. A massive fleet was emerging from hyperspace, ships bearing no known insignia, their hulls jagged and black. "That's impossible," Zorvak whispered. "Those are ancient designs." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "Not ancient," she said. "Forgotten." The alien fleet began transmitting a signal. Harsh and distorted, "To all life that defies the old ways," the voice boomed. "Your era ends, the true rulers return." Zorvak's scales went pale. "They're from the old Dominion," he said in horror. "The empire that vanished millennia ago." Evelyn looked up at the sky through the glass ceiling, her voice steady. "Then history repeats sooner than I thought. Within minutes, The human ships reappeared in orbit, forming a defensive wall above the Council world. "We'll hold the line," Evelyn said firmly, "but this time, not alone." Mera placed a hand on her arm. "You have our fleets," she said. "Every one of them." Zorvak hesitated, then nodded. "We fight together." The sky burned as battle erupted. Blue and red fire streaked across the stars, human and alien ships side by side, defending the planet that once symbolized corruption. Now it was their shared ground, inside her ship. Evelyn commanded calmly, "All units, focus fire on their flagship. Do not let them reach the surface." Her voice echoed through every allied vessel. And for the first time, the galaxy fought as one. When the battle ended, the void was silent. The enemy fleet was gone, and the Council world still stood. Battered but alive, Mera looked to Evelyn. "We did it," she said softly. Evelyn exhaled, exhaustion in her eyes. "No," she said, "we started it days later." As rebuilding began, a new flag rose in the capital, a circle of stars surrounding a single flame. Symbolizing unity born from struggle, Evelyn stood among them. Her voice carried through every broadcast. "This is not humanity's victory," she said. "This is the galaxy's second chance." Zorvak watched from afar. Quiet for once. "She changed everything," he murmured. Mera nodded beside him. "No," she said. "She reminded us what we were supposed to be." And as the sun set over the horizon, casting golden light over a world reborn, the stars above shimmered brighter than ever. The war was over, but a new era had begun. One not ruled by fear or pride, but by a fragile, precious peace earned through the fire of truth. Humanity had not come to conquer the galaxy. They had come to awaken it, and for the first time in countless ages, the galaxy finally listened.